everyone, how's it going? Mike McIntyre here from All Things Sports, and I'm here today to bring you a video that's really long overdue. I'm going to give you just a quick follow-up on the Adidas Ace 15.1 soccer shoes. So, for those of you that know, who follow my channel, I unboxed these probably like 2 months ago now. And I just did a little performance review on them, talked about the materials and stuff like that. And I said that I would do a follow-up on the shoe. I usually do just to give people a good sense of how the shoe actually performs after some good usage, after some good wears. So I said I would do one for the Aces. I did one with my Preds and previous shoes that belong to me that I've worn. So this is my video on the play-tested review, usage period of how the Ace 15.1s actually perform. So this is the synthetic version, if you couldn't tell already. So it's got the 3D 360 upper that Adidas calls it. It's got this sort of rubberized material on the top, but it's not very grippy like many would expect, and it's got this mesh underneath it. So we'll start off with the upper material and how it actually performs. In my opinion, it's very nice to the touch. But I personally don't like the way it feels in comparison to the Predator Instinct. The Predator Instincts were made out of hybrid touch, so it was like a synthetic leather material that mimicked the characteristics of kangaroo leather. And Adidas have used that on, they use that on a lot of their previous shoes, and they've, in both the X and the Aces, their brand new lineup, they got rid of that material. And they, on the Ace particularly, they replaced it with this 3D upper material, synthetic material. So it's soft, it's flexible, as you can see, but it doesn't feel as soft or as flexible as the Instincts did. Even with all that rubber material on the Instincts, it still felt like a softer material, a thinner material, and I personally just like the way it felt better than this one. There's something about it that just kind of feels funny. It's almost as if this is supposed to provide grip, but it doesn't, if you know what I mean. Like, just the way it looks and just the way people would predict the shoe to sort of feel, it doesn't really feel that way. So as far as the upper material itself goes, it's good, but it's not my favorite. So I think they sort of, I think it's a little thick. I really do. It's a funny sort of material, and I'm not sure. I just like the way the Instincts felt better, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think the Prime Knits, though, I was really attracted to those when they came out, because I thought that it would sort of eliminate the feel of this shoe and mimic more of the feel of the Instincts. Even though it's a Prime Knit material, even though it's something completely different, I think that it would feel softer and a little bit more flexible, sort of like a padded feel compared to these. These feel like a hard foam. That's really what they feel like. It feels like a hard foam that still bends with your foot. So I thought the Prime Knit version of the Aces would feel really good. I didn't get a chance to try those out. I think right now I'm waiting for the next version of the Aces. I've seen some prototypes of those online, and I'm sure many others have as well. And those look very promising. So I can't wait for those. So for right now, I'm just going to stick with these. So bottom line, the upper material, I personally like the Instincts better than these ones. I'll move on to, well, I guess I'll talk about the back sort of third of the shoe, because the front, the 3D upper material is obviously just the black part. This highlighter yellow color, solar yellow I think Adidas technically calls it, is made out of just a synthetic material. And when it came out, a lot of people sort of criticized how cheap it felt. And I could agree with that to a certain extent. I mentioned this in my unboxing video. Like, it does sort of look it, but I don't think it feels particularly cheap. I think it's just another sort of material, and it doesn't hinder the shoe in any way. It doesn't make it worse. It doesn't make it a better performer. It doesn't make it a worse performer. It's just that's the material they kind of chose to use. So I have absolutely no problems with the back half of the material. I think these sort of padded areas that they put in, I think they don't really, they don't really do anything. If anything, I'm sure that it would lessen an impact if you actually to get kicked there, but they're small enough that you won't notice it if you were actually to get kicked in that actual spot, if you know what I mean. So so the back part of it, it feels fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing super great about it. So that's the back half of the material. And I'll talk about the way that the cut was, because I mentioned that in the unboxing. I liked this sort of deeper heel that the Ace provided. I like it, but I don't know if I like it as much as I would have expected. It feels very, very comfortable in the sense that you're locked down, and I don't think you're like your foot isn't going anywhere. But I thought it would have a bigger impact. I thought it would make me like, oh yeah, I really, really like the way this feels. And I didn't walk out of it with that feeling. If I go back into my instincts, I think I still prefer those. Those are my number one favorite shoe. The Instinct has a different cut in the back where it's sort of rounded instead of following the shape of your Achilles tendon with this sort of cut here. And you go into that, and it's a different design, and I still like that shoe better. So this, it doesn't make or break the shoe at all. It definitely, if you're looking for like a good lockdown feel with a good, I shouldn't say that, but a very good amount of support in the back, the Ace will give that to you because that's what it offers with this sort of deep cut. But just in comparison to what I said in the unboxing, I thought it would sort of make me feel like this shoe was very, very, very comfortable, and it does. But it's sort of not to the degree I expected. It's extremely comfortable, but it's not. It doesn't have the impact that I thought it would. Let's put it at that. So we could talk about just overall fit. So I've gone over like the feel of the material and the way the heel fits. By the way, I guess this external heel counter, that's new with the Instinct line, because on the Instincts they just had the internal heel counter. It was just built into the back. But on this one, it does provide a good amount of stability, so they did a very good job with that. Your foot really isn't going anywhere, and that in combination with this higher sort of deeper cut in the heel makes for a very, very good lockdown feel. So again, if that's what you're looking for, the Ace will provide a very good feeling in the heel area of the shoe. And I was just going to talk about sort of overall fit now. If you have a wide foot, these are fantastic because they're built on a wider last, and they'll fit pretty much anybody. So as far as just normal comfort goes, these are extremely, extremely good. If that's what you're looking for, just an extremely comfortable shoe with a modern twist to it, I suppose, the Ace, it will give you that. It's very, very comfortable. It's wide, and for me, who has a fat foot, it's really, really good in that sense. So it's extremely, extremely comfortable, and in that department, it really does very, very well. If you're looking for a comfortable, modern football boot, this is the way to go. If you want to go Adidas, obviously. I'm sure other brands have something to compete. So comfort, I have absolutely no complaints. They did very, very good on that. And I guess the last sort of thing I'll talk about is, well, I'll talk about the outsole, the sole plate in a second. I just want to mention the tongue. The tongue is thick, and in my personal opinion, I think I like the way the Instincts were better. Again, I'm going back to those. The Instincts had a very, very thin tongue. It was just basically a piece of synthetic. And I personally like that. With this, I feel like maybe I'm just not used to it as much because the last several generations of Adidas Predators had a very thin tongue. If you go all the way back to the Adi Powers, they had a thin tongue, and they kept that all the way through them. And I just think I got so used to that it almost felt like there was no tongue. You would just tie the laces, and then you didn't feel like there was anything here. And here you have an extra bit of bulk, if you know what I mean. And it's just sitting on top of your foot. And again, it doesn't do anything as far as performance goes. It really doesn't hinder the performance. It doesn't make it better. It's just personal feeling, personal opinion. And the thinner tongue on the Instinct, in my opinion, I like that better. If you could see it, it's definitely there's a good chunk there in comparison to what the Instinct had. So I just wanted to mention that. And then lastly, we'll just talk about the sole plate, because this is a big thing with the Ace. They invented this sort of hybrid sole plate with the traditional. You have your 4 in the heel, and then you have your traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 larger studs that make up the forefoot. And then they did like this second layer sort of hybrid studs that went throughout the middle and in between all the other ones. And this did a very, very good job. As far as traction goes, there's absolutely no complaints. But again, with the Instincts, I had no complaints either. So as far as traction goes, I would say they're very, very similar, and one isn't better than the other. They are both very, very good sole plates in terms of traction. In terms of stud pressure, this does a fantastic job because it evens out. It doesn't have these gaps where studs would be, where studs are not located. There's no gaps in between any of them. So when you put your foot on the ground, there's an even amount of contact, I guess is the right word to put it. There's contact with the ground at every single point. So there's no sort of sensation of this one digging into your foot and this one digging into your foot, because it's all leveled out and it's all even. So As far as stud pressure goes, there's absolutely none. And if you are really, really worried about having something for turf and something for grass, if you play on both, this is a great option if you just want one shoe. But again, firm ground sort of works on everything. I know people are going to say, oh no, that's not true, but turf today is not as dangerous as it used to be, and if you use firm ground on turf, you're most likely going to be okay. I mean, I used the Instincts on turf for years, and that stud pattern was the same all the way back to the LZs, the first LZs, so I got very, very used to that, and I used it on everything that I played on, and I had absolutely no problems with it ever. So anyways, bottom line is the sole plate was very, very good. I think they're going to change it actually for the next generation of the Aces, pretty much back to what the Instincts were like, except the shape will be a little bit more conical, whereas the Instincts had sort of a triangular sort of shape. But the stud pattern is basically going back to what it used to be. So after one generation, Adidas is getting rid of this. But it did a very, very good job of traction and of comfort. And it did very, very well. So that is my performance review, I guess, play-tested follow-up review of the Adidas Ace 15.1 in the synthetic version. Bottom line, very, very good shoe. They did a good job sort of revitalizing their brand, because I think that's what they were struggling with. I think Nike was selling more in the last few years, so Adidas needed something to shake up their brand in terms of sales and to get people attracted to them again. So I think the Ace did a good job of doing that. I think it got people on board, but in my personal opinion, I think the Instinct's a better shoe. Well, I shouldn't say better. I like it better. So bottom line, very, very good shoe. Perfect for that person who wants sort of a very comfortable boot, but with a modern twist to it. Deep heel cut. It's got a nice synthetic material in the front that's really quite soft and flexible. And the sole plate does a very, very good job of traction. So if you're looking for an Adidas comfortable, control-oriented, modern soccer shoe, the Ace is definitely going to give you that, and I don't think you'll have any complaints. So that is all for my play-tested follow-up review of the Ace. And thanks, guys, for watching. I'm sorry I haven't been putting videos up as much. I was really, really busy in the last few months playing and with school, so that's why I haven't been able to put them up as consistently. I have a few sort of lined up, so stick around because there will be more videos coming up. So thanks, guys. This is Mike McIntyre from All Things Sports, and that is the follow-up review of the Adidas Ace 15.1. Take care, guys.